Now, why you will never hit driver as far as you should is because you are missing these two key areas in your swing. And if you can fix these two key areas, you will hugely increase your distance potential. So, first reason of why you will never hit driver as far as you should, and this robs your distance hugely, and that is a lack of width in your backswing. So a lack of width in the backswing, what is that? That is where the club gets too close to you and the hands get too close to the body. So what this causes players to do is to throw the club starting the downswing, so there's no lag, no build up of force in that shaft. And that will either cause players to stand up, which will then add loft, and then that's going to make you hit it really short. They could even go underneath it and sky it. It's going to look horrible. Hopefully I don't sky it with my net here, otherwise it's going way up above it. So lack of width, getting the club close to it. I have to throw the club out to be able to make contact. Not good. So why do I have to throw the club and lose all my speed? Because where's the speed going to be lost from there? Starting the downswing. That's where you're going to be the fastest with this technique. Is ultimately because when I lose my width and get very narrow, I'm ultimately bringing the swing height more up. So even here, if I just get the club closer to me at setup, you can see how the club elevates, it actually pulls inwards as well. So if I keep that position and don't throw the club, I'm actually just going to return the club to this really high position. I might even top it. So this is where when we see players pull the club in, lack of width, you'll see them have this bent left arm. If they keep it in that structure, you're going to top it all day long. It's the most common reason for topping the golf ball. So that's where most players won't instinctively do that. They will then throw that club to get the club back into the appropriate radius of the golf swing. And again, it's just not viable to hit good distances. But what we want to do is this, which you're seeing all these real top players do. Get wide in the backswing. So this is where we like to say in the golf instruction world, a structure of the swing, where we're going wide, narrow, wide. So getting wide in that backswing helps you do all the rest. So when you're wide, and that's really pushing these hands and arms away from you, so not out, still going around you, following the swing arc, but really pushing away. So when we're doing that, that club is getting further away from us. So that's where we're creating good width, good momentum is building in that shaft. And then when we start to transition in the downswing, that club shaft is going to start to get closer to us. So watch this here. All I'm going to think is wide backswing. Look at the lag I'm going to create here. So I'm really getting as wide as I can, pushing these hands and arms away. Oh, that felt good. Look at the lag in the shaft there. Wasn't trying to do that. It naturally just occurred in there. So that's all that speed is building up. So that's absolutely brilliant. It's going to fix a lot of your overly bent left arms as well. So tons of other benefits in there of doing this, but power wise, huge. Because if we're doing this movement of being wide, creates that lag naturally, just how gravity will hit the shaft and really load it in there. And then that will really then apply that force into the golf ball. So let's talk about a great couple of drills and then feel to do on the golf course for this. So 2 drills to do with this. First one is a takeaway drill. So this is where we see most people get the most narrow, is they'll pull in their takeaway, getting the club close to them. Like I said, I want wide. So if you can get into shaft parallel to the ground here and feel like those hands are really pushed out away from them, like there's someone standing behind you on your foot line and you're trying to pass them the golf club. So again, we're not going out, we're still going in. Club staying on the hands or outside it, but just as wide and stretched away as you can. Get to that position and pause, and then swing up and through. That's going to be a brilliant drill, and if you can get that repped out, that is going to be absolutely brilliant. So again, nice and wide. That takeaway, if we get wide in the takeaway, we're going to stay wide throughout the swing from there. It's creating that momentum, placing it in a good spot, and then swing up, swing through. So drill number 2 is with this training aid. This is called the Shore Set from JChownGolf. So what we do with this will tell us immediately if we don't have enough width. Because if I'm a player who has that real pull in early, you can see how this part that comes out the 90-degree angle, this ball here, will hit my right arm immediately, or even hit my shoulder. So especially if a player has too much wrist hinge early, which gets you too narrow, tell you what, that hurts. I'm going to stop doing that. So ultimately what we would want to do from here, we would want this to attach to our really kind of like our right side of the chest at around mid backswing. We have to be wide to be able to do that. And I really like this training aid as well because it really promotes really good turn. It gets you good width, it gets you good wrist hinge sequencing, and gets you good backswing rotation feel. Really gives you the sensation there. So as you can see here from down the line, really gets you stretched. It's a great training aid to have to warm up before you go play. Good benefits from it for what we're going to talk about after this as well. But absolutely brilliant. There is a link in the description for a discount code for this. Sure set. So good. It even helps you with your grip as well. The grip trainer, really good. It makes you feel really nice and wide. If you get too narrow, you'll hit yourself too early. And there we go. Absolutely brilliant. And then of course, that same feel, apply that into the shot. So let's do one here. Awesome, right out the middle. Now, feel for the golf course is very similar to the first drill. Really feel like you're pushing those hands and arms out away. We hear all the best players in the world talk about this when they want to crank on a drive without putting much more effort into it. They'll feel as wide as they possibly can, really getting that club working away for them. So you can do a couple waggles. There we go, and really feel like you're pushing them out and really getting that nice width, because that's going to carry on for the rest of the swing. You're going to get that wide, narrow, wide for good lag and good power. Brilliant. So that's how you get that little bit more width. Let's talk about the next point. Now, the second reason of why you'll never hit driver as far as you should all has to do with the start of your downswing. This is so unbelievably common. And that is when golfers are starting their downswing, they are overly actively rotating that chest early. So just like this here. And what happens when you overactive have that chest rotation, start that downswing, the club will fly out over the top and cut across the golf ball, creating what we call a glancing blow. So what is a glancing blow and why is that so damaging to your distance? A glancing blow is ultimately you are just cutting across the golf ball, glancing it. So imagine here, it's a great analogy. I'm punching something twice with the exact same force. One I'm going square on, one I'm going across, the same force. Okay, so the one that I'm going dead square on, a lot of the force that I'm applying is going to be applied into the object, in this case my hand. Same amount of force on this second punch, but now I am just grazing it. I can barely feel that. It hurts a little bit, absolutely, but not much of that force has been applied into my hand. It's the same thing when we have that overactive chest rotation that will cause that glancing blow across rather than delivering it square on. We're going to get horrible slices like you're seeing with my friend there off the planet. 4 right. So what we want to do, this. Best driver of all time, in my opinion, Rory McIlroy. Look at how he's moving with that chest in transition. So yeah, that chest is staying really quiet. Now, when that chest stays quite quiet, that will promote the hands to have a little bit more of a drop. So that's where with driver, we have, of course, the hands do go out, they're going to with rotation, but they have a little bit more down than they would do with irons. That isn't physically created by the hands and arms though. That is created by the chest staying quiet. If the chest is pointing back behind and being secondary in the sequencing, lower body, mid-torso being the first, that's going to promote the club to drop on path and then deliver more of that square on hit and maybe even hitting a little draw, just like this. So we're going to talk about a feel for the golf course, but a drill first to be able to get it into your swing. So the drill to get this, that chest staying more passive, there's actually 2 of them. First one here. So with the first one, you don't need a club at all. Just get your left arm, pin your left arm across your chest here. And now what you want to do is you want to turn your lower body and mid-torso whilst feeling like you're resisting that upper body movement with your right there. So that's really going to train that separation, that sequencing. Because if you go too hard with the chest, you're going to feel it in that right hand immediately. So this is a great one to get there. You're going to feel a big stretch up your side as well. Brilliant to work on. The second drill before we get to the feel for the course, which is really good, is the training aid we talked about when it comes to width, the Sure set. So this is really good for starting the downswing as well. So for this video, for both of these points, no better way to practice it than this. So get up to the top of your swing. We know how to do that from earlier. There we go. Now, if we overactively rotate the chest here, what happens to this portion? So the bit that's touching my right pec. See how it's going to detach away from me, where if now I am coming down and I'm keeping this attached onto my pec there, you're going to see how the chest has to stay more passive and I can get that sensation of rotating my lower body and mid-torso. Brilliant. So Sure set, like I said again, there is a link in the description for a discount code of this. Probably for driving the golf ball successfully, isn't a better training aid out there. It gives you the sensation we want. So, okay, now we've done what we need to do for practice, and you're asking, okay, that's great, but what do I think on the golf course? This is where there is a super effective feel for the golf course for this, which will be enhanced with our drills, absolutely. But that is feeling like, okay, this is called an external focus. So focusing on something that isn't you. So we know we want our chest to point back behind a little bit, just to make sure that we're not overactively rotating it early. So if we feel like the middle part of, let's say, the chest, so right here where the zipper is, or the microphone. Let's say if you're in a warm weather climate, you're wearing a golf polo, where the buttons are. We want those buttons, or the zipper in my case here, to point behind at the camera for as long as I can, or it could be one of your buddies standing behind you. What that's going to do, that's going to help you then, of course, calm down that early chest rotation. This is so good for driver. So for players who really, let's say, do it a ton, you could feel like that chest is pointing behind with that zipper for as long as you can, because the chest will unwind for you over the top golfers, overactive chest rotators going through the golf ball. You're not going to struggle with that. So that's where you can delay it as long as you can, and that swing path is just going to neutralize out for that more solid hit like we had with the punching analogy. So middle of my chest pointed behind for as long as I can. There we go. So that's going to really help you deliver that better club path for that better ball speed. So if you can fix those two areas and make them a real strength in your golf swing, you're going to be hitting driver way, way further. So if you enjoyed this video, click that like button if you want more golf instruction. Just like this, hit a subscribe button and hit that bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video.